giving you the question answers. What does the writer mean? Just note it down. What does the writer mean when she says Sahib is no longer his own master? What does the writer mean when she says Sahib is no longer his own master? Yes, Happy New Year. Shubhajit, Happy New Year. We are continuing with the question answers, the rest of the question answers from the chapter Lost Spring. Only few months left for your examination. So we are revising the sample question answers. Okay, then come to the next question. Have I told this question, who is Mukesh and what was his dream? This answer has been done. Who is Mukesh and what is his dream? Okay, write it down. Who is Mukesh and what is his dream? Write down. Who is Mukesh and what is his dream? We are continuing with the sample question answers from the chapter Lost Spring. Your exam is going to be your practical examination is going to start from March, and from 4th May your board examination will start. So get prepared with your syllabus. Only few months left. Write down, who is Mukesh and what is his dream? Write down, Mukesh is a child labor in a glass factory. Mukesh is a child labor in glass factory. Write down, Mukesh is a child labor in a glass factory in Firozabad. Mukesh is a child labor in glass factory in Firozabad. Firozabad. Mukesh is a child labor in a glass factory in Firozabad. Full stop. Belonging to a family of bangle makers. Belonging to a family of bangle makers. Belonging to a family of bangle makers, comma, he shows no fascination towards bangle making. He shows no fascination towards bangle making and insist, INSIST, and insist on being his own master. Belonging to a family of bangle makers, comma, he shows no fascination towards bangle making and insist, and insist on being, on being his own master. On being his own master. Full stop. He dreams of becoming a motor mechanic. He dreams of becoming a motor mechanic. He dreams of becoming a motor mechanic. Full stop. He desires to go to a garage. He desires to go to a garage. Garage. He desires to go to a garage and get the required training and get the required required and get the required training for this job. Okay, so this is the first question of today's class. I'm repeating, Mukesh is a child laborer in a glass factory in Firozabad. Belonging to a family of bangle makers, he shows no fascination towards bangle making and insists on being his own master. He dreams of becoming a motor mechanic. He desires to go to a garage and get the required training for this job. Is it clear? Is the answer clear to all of you? Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay. Come to the next question. Is Sahib happy working at the tea stall? Is Sahib happy working at the tea stall? Give question mark. With this you will write down why or why not. That means you have to give the reason. Is Sahib happy working at the tea stall? Why or why not? Write down the answer. No, comma, Sahib is not happy. No, comma, Sahib is not happy working at the tea stall. No, comma, Sahib is not happy working at the tea stall. No, comma, Sahib is not happy working at the tea stall. Full stop. Even though, comma, he now gets a fixed income. Even though, comma, he now gets a fixed income along with all his meals. Along with all his meals. But he has lost his freedom and his carefree days. But he has lost his freedom and his carefree days. Even though he now gets a fixed income along with all his meals, but he has lost his freedom and his carefree days. Give full stop. He is no longer his own master. He is no longer his own master. He is no longer his own master and is bound and burdened B-U-R-D-E-N-E-D, and is bound and burdened by the steel canister, C-A-N-I-S-T-E-R, he now has to carry. And burdened by the steel canister, he now has to carry. He now has to carry. Give full stop. The answer is completed here. I am repeating once. No, Sahib is not happy working at the tea stall, even though he now gets a fixed income along with all his meals. He has lost his freedom and his carefree days. He is no longer his own master and is bound and burdened by the steel canister he now has to carry. Come to the next question. Why could the bangle makers not organize themselves into a cooperative? This question is very, very important. Why could the bangle makers not organize themselves into a cooperative? I am repeating the question. Why could the bangle makers not organize themselves into a cooperative? Write down the answer. The bangle makers are caught in a The bangle makers are caught in a vicious, V-I-C-I-O-U-S, vicious means cruel. The bangle makers are caught in a vicious web. Okay, it is a trap. Vicious, V-I-C-I-O-U-S, vicious web, W-E-B, which starts from poverty, to indifferences, which starts from poverty to indifferences, then to greed. After indifferences, write down then to greed, G-R-E-E-D, then to greed, and finally to injustice, Full stop. Mind numbing toil, mind hyphen numbing, N-U-M-B-I-N-G, mind numbing toil means very hard work. Mind numbing toil kills their hopes. Mind numbing toil kills their hopes, H-O-P-E-S, and dreams, D-R-E-A-M-S. Mind numbing toil kills their hopes and dreams. Full stop. The bangle makers of Firozabad, were not able to organize themselves. The bangle makers of Firozabad were not able to organize themselves into a cooperative. The bangle makers of Firozabad were not able to organize themselves into a cooperative because they had got trapped in the vicious circle of the sahukars, comma, the middlemen, comma, the policemen, comma, the bureaucrats, B-U-R-E-A-U-C-R-A-T-S. The bureaucrats means civil servants, the bureaucrats and the politicians. I repeat once, the bangle makers of Firozabad were not able to organize themselves into a cooperative because they had got trapped in a vicious circle of the sahukars, comma, the middlemen, comma, the policemen, the bureaucrats and the politicians. Full stop. Together they had imposed a baggage. B-A-G-G-A-G-E, a baggage on these people. Baggage means here load, okay? Together they had imposed a baggage on these people which they could not put down. Together they had imposed a baggage on these people which they could not put down. Is the answer clear to you? The answer is completed here. Is it clear? Any confusion? Is it clear? This is very, very important question for you. This question is very important. First line, okay, let me repeat. The bangle makers are caught in a vicious web. Okay, in a vicious web. The bangle makers are caught in a vicious web which starts from poverty to indifferences, then to greed, and finally to injustice. Mind-numbing toils kills their hopes and dreams. The Bengal makers of Firozabad were not able to organize themselves into a cooperative because they had got trapped in a vicious circles of sahukars, middlemen, policemen, bureaucrats and the politicians, and together they had imposed a baggage on these people which they could not put down. Okay. Next, this question is also very important for you. Mention any two problems faced by the Bengal sellers. Write down. Mention any two problems faced by the Bengal sellers. Mention any two problems faced by the Bengal sellers. Now write down the answer. The Bengal makers had to work. The Bengal makers had to work in the glass furnaces. The Bengal makers had to work in the glass furnaces. FURNACES. In the glass furnaces with high temperatures. With high temperatures. Comma. In dingy, DINGY, in dingy cells, means very gloomy. In dingy cells without air and light. Without air and light. Full stop. They are exposed to various health hazards. They are exposed, EXPOSED. They are exposed to various health hazards. HHZARDS. Health hazards like losing their eyesight, like losing, LOSING, like losing their eyesight as they work in abysmal, ABYSMAL, means very threatening to life, abysmal conditions, abysmal, ABYSMAL, abysmal conditions in dark and dingy cells. I repeat, they are exposed to various health hazards like losing their eyesight as they work in abysmal conditions in dark and dingy cells. Full stop. They were also caught in a web of poverty. They were also caught in a web of poverty, comma, burdened by the stigma of caste, burdened, BURDENED, burdened by the stigma, STIGMA, by the stigma of caste in which they were born, and also caught in a vicious circle of sahukars, middlemen and policemen, and also caught in a vicious circle of sahukars, middlemen and policemen. I repeat the answer with the question: mention any two problems faced by the Bengal makers. The Bengal makers had to work in a glass furnaces with high temperatures in dingy cells without air and light. They are exposed to various health hazards like losing their eyesight as they work in abysmal conditions in dark and dingy cells. They were also caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they were born, and also caught in a vicious circle of sahukars, middlemen and policemen. Okay? Is it clear? Am I clear to you? With this, I will end up the class here. Next day, some important question answers are left from this chapter only. I'd like to continue with this, and you just go through the answers at home, get prepared with your syllabus, because only few months left